Hey kids, it's Mrs. Davis from Happy Place to Grow. I'm back here in the Learning Corner for video number 2 on our really interesting topic, honeybees. In our last session, we read this nonfiction book and learned some totally cool facts about this amazing creature. Remember, my favorite fact was that honeybees tasted nectar through their tiny little feet. That was really cool. So in today's video, we're going to just review and refresh some facts and information, and then we're going to switch over to some buzzing, busy honeybee math. All right, so let's do some reviewing. I've got this nonfiction scholastic news, so we'll just go quickly over some of those amazing honeybee facts. Remember, in the last session, we talked about photographs in a nonfiction book being so powerful and so important, and I love how this newspaper just gets up close. You can really see the eye of the honeybee. And there's that proboscis, the tongue that's like a straw drinking up the nectar. We also learned that bees and flowers, honeybees and flowers have a great relationship. They're trading things. They need each other. You can see that pollen basket, collection of pollen. You know, they roll it into a ball. Just put it on the back of their legs. That's an amazing way to move food back to the hive. It's as busy as a bee, and we learned from our last session that honeybees are, worker bees, are extremely busy all day. This honeybee visits flowers all day long. We learned that they can visit hundreds of flowers in a day. She works hard because she is a worker bee. We learned also that all worker bees are female. Worker bees must keep the hive running, and that is a for sure truth because they're doing all the jobs. Hey, let's open up this newspaper and see what else we can review. Working hard for the hive. 3 kinds of honeybees live in a hive. The queen bee lays the eggs. That's her only job. The drones or males are the father bees. Their only job is to mate with the queen. And the worker bees, which are female, do most of the work. Workers feed the young. Worker bees feed young bees or larvae. The workers feed them food made from honey and flower pollen. So again, that trade-off with flowers is very important. There's a little drawing of a larvae. Worker bees must care for the queen bee. That's another job they learn how to do. There she is. She's different from all of the other bees. She's larger. When she is young, they feed her royal jelly. This food makes her grow bigger than the other bees. Even after she is grown, workers clean and feed her because we know in the summer and spring, she is laying up to 2,000 eggs per day. And because honeybees don't live very long, that's going to be very important. If she's healthy and cared for, the whole hive stays well and healthy and successful. Workers make cells. That's one of the 6 jobs they will do. Remember, they do those 6 jobs in order. Worker bees also build the hive's rooms or cells. The workers use wax from their own bodies. Oh, that's a new fact. To make the cells. Hey, I didn't know that. Did you? Each cell is a hexagon or 6-sided shape. That's going to lead into our math today. Hey, let's keep reviewing. Workers protect the hive. That's one of their 6 jobs. I think that might be job number 5. Enemies like hornets and yellow jackets try to steal honey from the hive. They're called robber bees. Workers must go in front of the hive and stand watch. When enemies come, the bees sting them and chase them away. Way to go, worker bees. And then their final job that they learn to do, job number 6, is workers collect nectar. Worker bees fly to flowers. There they collect a sweet liquid called nectar. Bees use nectar to make honey to eat. They suck up the nectar with their long mouth called a proboscis. Now, this is one final fact. This will be a little bit of new information we said we were going to review. I always like to squeeze in a little new. I love this fact. Bees do 2 different kinds of dances, and they don't even need music. Bee dance. Say you're a worker bee. You just found a new patch of flowers where you can collect nectar. Now you want to tell the other bees about it. You can't use your little tiny bee cell phone. So what do? Use your body to tell them where the flowers are. You can do 2 dances. You can do the round dance. And this round dance, you can see the arrows form a little diagram. You're going to go, you're going around, and then you're going up and around and in a circle shape. You have to turn yourself around, so if you go in your circle, then you come back and circle around again. That lets the other bees know that the flowers that you just visited and got nectar from, it's a good location. It's full of nectar. Those flowers are close by. But if you're a worker bee and you do the waggle dance, it sounds kind of fun. You go in a shape and then waggle, waggle, waggle. Go back around and waggle, waggle, waggle. If the flowers are far away, you're going to do this waggle dance to let the other workers know that it's a good place to collect nectar, but it is a little bit further away. Wow, did you know bees could communicate that way? Worker bees can tell each other about nectar, which is very important to the hive. They have to know where to go so their hive can stay fed and healthy. You can do a little dance. Wow, amazing. Now, thinking about the honeybee hive and the fact that each cell in their honeycomb space is a hexagon shape, I located my pattern block shapes because I think it's always fun if you're learning to include lots of different topics. So we thought about nonfiction facts about honeybees. We took a true and false quiz. Now let's move our learning over and stretch our minds to be thinking about math. Honeybees and honeybee math. So I'm thinking about these 2-dimensional shapes: hexagon, 6-sided, trapezoid, rhombus, and triangle. And we're going to see if we can build some cells, some honeycombs using different pattern block shapes. Now, tune up your mind, tune up your visual spatial, because at first glance, you might be saying, well, that's pretty easy. Let's see how many different ways we can use pattern block shapes to create a hexagon shape, which is the shape of a cell, a honeycomb shape inside of that hive. Well, this one's going to be pretty easy. The first way, I know you know, is just to fit in a whole hexagon. That's pretty easy. But what if I wanted to build a hexagon in using different blocks? One of my favorite two-dimensional shapes is a trapezoid. How could I use a trapezoid to build a hexagon? It looks smaller than the whole hexagon. If it takes one hexagon to build this hexagon shape, it would take two, because it looks like half of a trapezoid would fit into, and then if I flipped, so if I take two trapezoids, I take this one and then I flip it and they meet in the center, two trapezoids. Well, you know, trapezoids are half the size of a hexagon, so it makes sense that it's going to take two halves to build that whole. Wonder what else? What do you think? What if I start with a trapezoid again at the top? How could I fill in the bottom section? What would you do? Are you thinking about maybe using a rhombus? Me too. I'm going to put one rhombus in there. A rhombus is a smaller pattern block shape or two-dimensional shape than the trapezoid, but we still need to fill up. Triangle, perfect. Let's slide in a triangle. Wow, we've already got 3 ways. Well, 2 other ways to make a hexagon shape beside the whole pattern block. What else could we do? Let's start with a rhombus. Thinking about rhombus. Now, if I put this in, I have to think about, I can't put it in that way, can I? I have to kind of turn and rotate it so that it fits in the space. What do you think should go there? Another rhombus? Excellent. Let's slide another rhombus in there. I can put a third rhombus in there. That's cool. So far, 2 trapezoids will build a hexagon, a trapezoid, a rhombus, and a triangle, and 3 rhombuses. How about if we start with another trapezoid? And then, what if I put a triangle in there? Now, I've already done a rhombus, so I can't do that. Oh, how about I use 2 more triangles together, because they, if I turn them like this, they form a perfect rhombus. Excellent. I mean, if you put your mind to it, you could really think of lots of different ways to fill spaces using different blocks. Wonder what else? Oh, how about starting with a rhombus? I've got to rotate it. And then I fill the rest of the space with triangles. How about we try that? 1, 2, 3. Wow. I could have even put a rhombus in there. 4. Amazing. 4 triangles, 1 rhombus. Wow, we're just problem solving. Hey, I want to do this too. I thought about this. I could have, let me just pull this little rhombus down here. could have stuck him in there. And then we could have had 2 rhombuses and 2 triangles. Wow, this is really fun. If you think about how many different ways you can build a shape from other shapes, the puzzles and the possibilities can go on and on. Okay, I've got one final puzzle shape fill in. I'm going to start with the triangle. This one's always the one that when my students were building was the hardest, because you've got to squeeze these triangles in. You've got to rotate and fit them in and turn them. And sometimes when you do that, because the triangles are a fraction of the original whole, they're a smaller piece, so they kind of move and they're harder to shape in there. Let's use these right here. I have to rotate, flip, turn, and slide in. The whole triangle, 2 trapezoids versus 6 small triangles. Wow, that was really fun. Have you ever thought about using pattern blocks to build and make different shapes? If you don't have pattern blocks, you need to pick you up some. They're really fun math tools. They help us solve spatial problems, and they help us think about wholes and parts and fractions. And it's always fun once you build your puzzles to make a copy of the puzzles that you build so you can remember. Let's just refresh. We did a whole hexagon. This is a little book that I always like to do with my students. And then we did 2 trapezoids. And when you're tracing these on paper, you can trace the original hexagon shape and then fill in your blocks. You just need 1 trapezoid here. Take your pencil, trace, and then you have 2, and you only have to do 1 line trace. Color in to show the blocks you used. Same thing down here. You can start with that trapezoid, trace it in, and then if you put in your rhombus, you're only going to have 1 other trace, and then you can color those shapes in. 2 trapezoids, a trapezoid, a rhombus, and a triangle, 3 rhombuses, 2 rhombuses, and 2 triangles. That was another one we built. Just amazing how many different puzzles you can map out, and breaking up that whole into smaller parts. Trapezoid and 3 triangles. And then the one that my students always found so difficult to trace, and they always avoided this one, was the 6 triangles. But as I was doing this, I was thinking about an easy way. If you wanted to put your 6 triangles in an easy way to trace them, is go ahead and put that trapezoid and make your first line. And then you've got it sectioned off. And then if you wanted to put in a rhombus shape, then you could section it off smaller, and then finally we'd only need to put in 1 triangle or 2 and flip and rotate to get those 6 triangle spaces. Wow, that was really fun. It's really interesting to think about how you can use lots of different skills, even if you're learning about honeybees or a nonfiction topic. You can weave in a lot of fun skills. So we've taken our factual knowledge about honeybees and turned it into a fun math, problem-solving puzzle skill. We have sharpened up our shape knowledge today. All right, learners, I want you to keep exploring and learn more about lots of creatures. Honeybees are fascinating to me. What creature do you think is fascinating that you want to learn more about? Check out lots of books this summer at your library. Go on YouTube for Kids and see if you can find out some great nonfiction information about your favorite creature and share it with your family and with your friends. All right, learners, until our next video time in learning time, as always, keep thinking mathematically, visually, and spatially, and have a good one.